Find a job that you get more than a paycheck from. Find a job that you can look back on when you're old and gray and be proud of what you've done with your life.
From his first helicopter flight to his last, he's been proud. We want to introduce you tonight to a pretty remarkable guy.
Indeed. Fort Wayne's NBC reporter Carly Van Cleve has this story about the very first Parkview Samaritan helicopter flight and the man who sat in the back.
Tom, Linda, let me tell you about Andy from the helicopter. At least that's what so many people know him as. He was a paramedic on the first Parkview Samaritan helicopter flight, and now he's the last of the original crew to hang up his flight suit for good.
Top it says 89 Sierra Mike. To back up to 1979, I was a college student at IPFW, and I was studying pre-med.
That's Andy from the helicopter, or Cletus Andy Gilbert.
You know, you'd make a great paramedic. And I said, what's a paramedic? Because there wasn't such a thing at the time.
Before he got that name, he bounced between working in the Parkview ER and as a paramedic for Three Rivers Ambulance Authority.
So I came back to Parkview September of '89. Funny thing happens, I get called into the office one morning, and then they said, we're starting a helicopter, and we'd like you to be on it.
November 18th, 1989, he took his first flight. In fact, it was the first ever Parkview Samaritan helicopter flight.
And we had beepers then. Our beepers went off, and so I had the very first flight for Samaritan. And we flew to Coldwater, Michigan, and picked up a guy having a heart attack and flew him to the cath lab at Randalia, where we were based at then.
His crew was the only emergency medical helicopter team in northern Indiana, covering a 100-mile radius.
This has been my seat since I switched to the nurse seat.
Gilbert was a paramedic and eventually a flight nurse. He fell in love with the job.
And so that helps keep him warm.
Later into that job, he got sick, acute liver failure. His crew had to fly him from Parkview to IU Health. Gilbert says he was so sick, machines kept him alive. But 10 days later, he woke up.
I died, and I was dead for 10 days. My helicopter flew me to IU, and I was not expected to come home.
Gilbert says his experience gave him a sense of deep understanding.
I realized what it feels like to be on borrowed time. I think these people that we've flown, I understand how they feel now.
32 years of flights, but last week he hung up his suit.
It's going to be hard not being Andy from the helicopter.
His final trip in the helicopter was Thursday.
The smell, the sound of her starting up and shutting down, to think that I wouldn't hear that anymore. But it was good. My last day was very good.
Gilbert says he knew it was his time. With the pandemic, he was worried for his own health, and he didn't want his age affecting the care he gave to his patients.
Try to make a difference. That's all I've done 32 years, is try to make a difference in somebody else's life.
Well, Gilbert leaves the Parkview Samaritan program behind to his wife, Stacy, who is also a flight nurse. She sat beside him for the first time ever on that last flight. He says they've never flown together for the sake of their kids, and now he's going to spend his days with them and their grandkids. Tom?